Yeah.
Mr. Tim.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, bro? We are in Eindhoven.
In Eindhoven. Episode number?
Episode number 10.
We made it.
We have made it. What a journey it's been, bro.
What a journey indeed, yeah. Within, what is it now? Like half a year?
So, I mean, we've discussed in the past, we actually started last year in summer, sitting right here with our clip-on mics that didn't work that well. But we're now on episode 10, officially from this year. We started our journey at the beginning of the year, talking a lot about the podcast. I think we made the crucial jump from talking to doing at a certain point.
Oh.
Our first video, our test video that we did, remember when we were figuring out how to get the microphones. But here we are, episode 10, Unfamiliar Randomness. Wow.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
I
think starting like to make that shift from talking to doing has been like a great theme for me in the past.
Well, it helps that doing is just talking but on camera.
Well. Hey.
But no, you're very right. We've taken action. I'm really proud of us, bro.
Me too, man.
When we started, I didn't think about episode 10 or the future. But as I'm saying it now, we're sitting here recording episode 10, but at some stage we're going to record episode 20, probably episode 30, 40. Who knows? Maybe we get to episode 100 one day. Yeah. And we'll see how much we've grown.
That's a crazy thing, man. I think, first of all, it was so much fun already to record these episodes with you. Even, like, we still have so much content to talk about that we talk about offline, like off camera.
Yes.
And it almost never seems to stop. And I think that's the thing about this dialogue that we have. If you have dialogue with someone, you find this the special person in your life, you know, and then things just start flowing naturally.
I think we resonate really well off of each other, with each other.
Yeah.
And something that's quite interesting for me, which we hear a lot about, especially I'd say in big corporate companies, but has been eye-opening for me, is having common interests, common threads that we like to discuss, but different perspectives in which we view these topics and these ideas from.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where the beauty in this lies, where it's the differences in our experience through life and of life that allows us to look at these ideas from different angles. I'm picturing a cube with the lights shining and seeing different shadows.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the beauty between, or for us in this conversation, is that we align on the fundamental ideas and things, but our viewpoints, our starting points are different. And also the challenges that we both face are different challenges, but we can like reflect and spar together and then both like go in this upward trajectory that is personal development.
So episode 10, I want us to go a little bit raw and I want us to go a bit deep into this
that's the way I
discussion.
Like it.
And I want to start off by asking you a question. So if you think about this podcast journey in particular, what do you feel about it? What comes to mind, not necessarily from a intellectual, rational, prefrontal cortex perspective, but more from like a emotional perspective?
Perfect, man. I'm not a very good rationally. I'm a very emotional person myself. So the first thing that I thought of was just joy. Just experiencing pure joy, coming here to your beautiful house in the garden and then just talking. And it's a bit of I think joy and relief and reflection. I think those are the experiential words I would connect to this whole exercise. What about you?
So, without reiterating or stealing what we've used in the past, I feel immense gratitude. For me, the podcast process has been amazing, but one of the things that stood out that supersedes the podcasting is our friendship, right? I mean, we have developed our friendship over the past, 3 years or so.
3 years,
but I think that's something that's really important for me that I've learned through this podcast is the idea of intention. And this platform or this thing that we're doing forces us to be intentional with our ideas, with our thoughts, and with things that we discover throughout the days and weeks. And at least I find myself putting it in a special part in my brain and thinking, this is something I want to talk to my friend Tim about.
Yes.
And it happens that we've created the structure where we formalize our discussions, and it's sort of like a form of journaling, a form of self-discovery, especially since we're also quite similar people. I think we have similar value structures,
100%,
structures of self, these sorts of things. So I think you can learn a lot about yourself through a good friend.
100%, I agree. And I was thinking exactly the same. So throughout the week, we have these moments where we think about, this is a nice topic. This is a nice topic. But we never really write it out or anything. We just have like these kind of key points. And then once we get together, I think the challenging thing, which I also realized in my own videos, if I start to rant or talk about a certain topic, but even more so in this conversational dialogue ways, you have to get better and better at articulating your thoughts and making a coherent story. And we kind of do this live, like
Yes.
nothing is scripted, and we pretty much go in raw every time.
Yeah.
And I think we've improved so much, and it has improved my way of thinking, my way of public speaking, talking, like rationalizing in the workplace as well. Like, so that's already like a pure bonus that you get for free, even having these discussions.
I was chatting to a friend of mine who's been watching our podcast, and they were asking, like, the editing must be a nightmare because you like must have to cut out. And I'm like, no. Like we just talk, and then I've got the AI software that chops the camera angles, but we just talk. And they were really surprised that it's just like raw. And I think that that's also beautiful. It's that we're not trying to be someone that we're not.
No.
What I also really like is this idea of building, right? I mean, we explore these ideas. It's almost like, I'm sure you played Age of Empire back in the day, where you have a map and like there's grayouts and you start exploring. And we explore a lot of things, and each time that we meet, whether we're podcasting or not, we build on these things, and we build. And that's been so beautiful. Like, the building is more of a discovery. It's building and discovery, but now episode 10, we can zoom out a little bit. We can look at the little world that we've discovered, the little map. There's obviously so much out there for us still, but if I look at the journey that we've been on, it's cool to zoom out, because sometimes if you get too stuck in the small perspective, you forget how far you've come.
100%. It's a bit like if you are on a, I don't know, like bodybuilding or kind of gymming journey, and you see yourself every day, you don't really see the improvements or the changes. But then if you have this before and after, then you suddenly see like, wow, like the quality has changed so much. And the fact, I think actually what you mentioned is quite important, because the fact that we decide not to edit a lot shows in the video, because it's all raw, like I said. So I started doing my own videos. I edited quite a lot. And I edited quite a lot of us and like pauses and stuff, because I got annoyed by it. And eventually what happened to me is I just got so bored by editing that I just stopped doing it so much while I speak. And then it makes the editing easier. So that's one thing that you learn as well. But I think we just also never, like you said, you use like kind of an AI to chop that shit up, and then it's all there, and you can definitely see the quality of our conversations has improved so much. So that's definitely there.
For sure. So for this specific episode, episode 10, a bit of a summary, a bit of a retrospective. I can be the scrum master of the episode here.
Yeah, you have the points.
And in the spirit of using this lovely new AI technology that we have, in episode 7 or 8, the Paul Conti episode, I talked about Notebook LM, Google's service where you can upload sources, and you can then get the LLM to reference those sources. So we have an LLM or Notebook LM page with the first 8 episodes, transcripts of the first 8 episodes. And before this, we were just asking it some questions, and we essentially asked it to help us come up with 5 main themes that we've discussed. And kicking it off, theme number 1, the quest for life's purpose and personal significance. What have you learnt about life's purpose and significance in these 10 episodes or 9 episodes?
I think quite a lot. I mean, I had my ideas of it before, although, like I said, a bit more vaguely articulated. Now it's become a bit more clear. And I think what we've discovered in our conversations is that purpose in life is so much related to you as an individual. So what drives you and also how your internal compass guides you.
Yes.
And purpose and success, for me, honestly, are maybe not interchangeable, but closely related. So if we talk about success, or if we would talk about success before, it would always be some rich person on a yacht,
Yes.
or like a movie star, whatever. But now I think we've come to see that success is actually more hitting the target.
Yes.
You know, like not missing the aim, but like hitting it, and the aim that is specific to you as an individual. And I think even like finding that aim, finding your goal, the target you want to aim for, that's already a big success. And then time and time again trying to hit that, get as close as you can, maybe a bit gamifying that. I think that that's purpose and success for me now.
That's also a very central theme to my growth and development as a person over these past 7 months. And I really like that you're talking about it being personal. You know, it's very cliche about like, you know, we're all unique, and so we've got to find what works for us. But what's really resonated for me is this idea of success, in particular life's purpose. We crave finding the answer outside of ourselves as people, whether it be media or society, whatever it is. But we want it to be a big yacht. We want it. And one of the things that I've really, really found much peace from is thinking of my life's purpose as sort of like a doctor with a stethoscope and putting it to your own self and really listening, because there's so much noise in that signal, right? And then you do these things through like meditation, through breath work, through pushing oneself. You know, I spoke about the marathon that I did in April, and when you take yourself to extremes, it's also a way of cutting out this noise, but really becoming in touch with that inner compass in order to understand where your alignment is and if you're actually hitting the mark or not.
And I think that's very interesting also to see, if I may, as much as I understand you right now, which is maybe a bit better than at the beginning of episode 1, I think you have lived a life before I met you and up till this point where maybe a lot of it was maybe not governed, but like there was a lot of input from external factors. And I see you now more going towards the inner version, like the inner realm, like your unconscious, and understanding yourself without all these external factors. And what does it mean to you? And that specific growth that you undergo there is that doesn't mean that you let everything go and say like, okay, yeah, screw it, I'm just gonna sit in the woods with my cabin and the dog, as you described earlier. But like you are still trying to have a positive impact on the world, but your focus is more on learning to step back from these external factors. And I think that's really inspiring to see as well. Like that's crazy.
For me, I recognize, obviously, in myself in the past and in a lot of people in this world, we obviously chase and we seek external, extrinsic things. And something that's been so beautiful for me to discover is the thrill that you chase when you look for purpose outside of the self, whether it be intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, or physically, is a certain type of, let's call it high, rush, dopamine, whatever. And there've been particular moments in this year where I've experienced this true calmness through peace. And even recently, like today, for example, you know, I'll be like looking out of a window and I'll just take a deep breath and be like grateful for the air and like really, you know, try and quiet the mind. And that contentment that I feel from that peace outweighs any of the thrills that I've chased in the past, whether that thrill be dancing to my favorite song at a nightclub at 2 a.m. after taking 3 tequila shots and just being on a level like that's stimulation, that's noise, you know, to the signal. And as I've been able to cancel that out, this like contentment that I feel is something that I truly was blind to 8 months ago. Truly. And that's been so beautifully rewarding. And I almost feel like it's part part of everyone's purpose and journey is to find that and feel that. And it's not easy.
No.
I've struggled. I mean, I look at how many distractions there are in the world
There are
and
a
how
lot. Yeah.
essential distractions are to our psyche for survival purposes. You try and sit down for just 1 minute and focus on your breathing and not let other thoughts come in, and your brain's immediately going to think of the future, the past, and that's a survival mechanism that we
need
formed.
it kind of, but we also trained ourselves to do it more than maybe strictly
And I think
necessary.
it's become overdeveloped.
Yeah.
And the irony in it is to part of finding one's purpose is to silence the mind a little bit, and so that you can sort of hear what's coming from within.
Yeah, beautifully said. I think I just want to highlight what you said, but give a little bit of a twist, because you said it's really, really hard. But I would also maybe challenge that and give the opposite idea, that it's actually in essence very easy, and it's like a life hack. You can do this every day. You can do this every moment. I recommend everyone to do it. It's just to sit here and try to really realize what we are doing, and how beautiful everything is. Just the fact that you exist, even in sad moments, you can sit and think wow, the fact that we are a strange organism that gets to experience sadness is such a beautiful miracle. And I think that's what you talked about when you said that you remember this when looking out of the window.
Yes.
And to me, to be honest, that's prayer as well.
Yes.
So remembering that we are part of this entire thing, and that it is a trip.
Yeah.
And that's just very beautiful. So
it links on to the second point here, where we talk about self-awareness and resilience through this podcast. And when I think of self-awareness, one of the things that's definitely stood out and has been a more recent thing is understanding one's emotions. I was actually chatting to a colleague today at work about this, and emotions really are something that drives us. They're fundamental. I think it was Joe Dispenza who said that emotions are thoughts of the body, where emotions is the language of the body, where thoughts is the language of the mind. And really quieting this external noise allows you to start understanding the emotions. And one of the ways that I've been thinking about it, and it's from a podcast that I watched, is it's like a charge that's within us. We work in the semiconductor space, so we know about charges, but you can imagine you've got negative, positive, electrons, positrons, neutrons, these things, and emotions are complex, and it's this complex thing of charge. But I've recognized within myself that there's so many times where I find, or in the past, I would constantly sort of push down emotions and not let myself have them bubble up, and when I remind myself of that and I'm aware of that, and I literally, it's almost like removing this plate in my diaphragm, and you let it come up, and as you said, have the resilience to understand that even negative emotions is part of this experience. In particular, one of the things that I felt this year, and I think this podcast is a huge part of it, is I find myself feeling more like a child. When you're younger and you think of the world, and you wake up in the morning and there's such possibility and such beauty in this life, the sacred life that we have. And when we get older and we have responsibilities and we worry about work and our colleague that's saying stuff about us and all these things, it becomes really messy.
Yeah, exactly.
And as I've been able to quiet this noise, I found more of this childlike, authentic self within me, and that's also so beautiful. It's something that I wouldn't trade for any amount of money.
That's beautiful, man. So you got that from basically quieting the noise a little bit more and focusing on yourself, onto your body, onto your emotions. Is that right?
So we discussed right at the beginning of this podcast that at the beginning of this year, I did my full dopamine cleanse, and I changed a huge amount of my behaviors. And this goes back to your tree of life analogy, where you have your actions that are at the top of the tree. And what I recognized was I'm a very strong-willed person, and so I forced myself to live in a way that I thought was more aligned to my true self. And I did ginger, turmeric teas and stretching and all these sorts of things. And I recognized that a huge gap that I was missing was I wasn't listening to my inner self and seeing how these things align, I was thinking, well, this is what I should do. And so it's really a journey. Once I got past a certain stage and I recognized that maybe I wasn't feeling truly at peace, or there were still these blockages that were within me, was when I started thinking more about how much these things align. And in order to align, you need to discover. In order to discover, you need to cut out the noise so that you can listen. And then I started down this whole thing. And one of the things that I said in my session with the psychologist that I saw recently was that if I could go back and redo this whole dopamine cleanse thing or whatever, I wouldn't do all the stretching and the turmeric teas and the matcha powders and the calming herbal things and whatever, and necessarily all the breath work. The one thing that I would do more is focus on the journaling, focusing on the understanding of oneself, focusing on calming the noise, meditation. So I've done so much breath work, but breath work is like this active form of, which is also like, it's not noise, but it's not quieting things.
No,
where meditation is really that. And I mean, I'm human. I haven't done as much journaling and meditation as I would like, but it's this journey, and that's a journey that I'm so excited to continue.
I can see you also speak with passion about this. It's beautiful, man. And also you mentioned the breath work, right? So I think breath is such an easy access to really listening and feeling your body, because it's one of the few things that is your body is doing autonomously. You're always breathing, but it is a thing that you can take control of with your rational mind if you focus on it.
Yes.
So you can start to breathe faster or slower or hold your breath. So that is like one of the easiest gateways into your unconscious and into your body.
Yes.
One thing that I read the past week in a book that I'm still reading,
Yes.
Women Who Run with Wolves,
Yes.
is about your body not being there's a paradox there. Let me see if I can explain it. So it's like we're always trying to control our body, like overcome our desires, stop all the sensory overload that we have. But our body is actually our only gateway to the sensory world, to the material world. This is so if you think about your brain being your spiritual or psychological part, and your body is your physical part. Your body is the thing that informs your brain with all the things your senses, yes. But it's not just that, it's also all the ancient wisdom that you have from your ancestors, from your childhood and beyond that, right? And then the question is, in how much are you and your body actually separated? So we look at it as a separate thing. But I think we only look at it as a separate thing because we cannot understand the whole as a whole. So we try to segment it in order to understand, this is my body. I understand it, like the function that it has. But if we would try to understand ourselves as what we are, which is spiritual and physical, we can't, because it's too much.
Yeah.
But I think the way that you are describing it right now is like, we need to be more aware of our body and a mind-body connection. And that's why we need to silence out some of the sensory input sometimes in order to just focus on this. And once we have ourselves properly grounded, then we are also more robust and resilient to step out again and to have a positive impact.
And also attuned to, let's say, these frequencies.
Yes, like an aligned intent.
And these frequencies could come in the form of work,
yes,
or come in the form of play or exercise. And
whatever comes your way, yeah.
Earlier on, you were talking about myself as someone who's chased a lot of extrinsic things and, let's say, pushed very hard and with work and maybe, spend a lot of time with socializing and friendships and all these things. And I mean,
you've been successful, right?
Like
work and gym.
And none of those things are wrong or inherently wrong. And I've made a huge amount of progress in them. But one of these things that I realized this year was this link of, we talked about it in the Paul Conti episode, where you have this hierarchy. So in the case of the Paul Conti episode, we're talking about the generative drive and the aggressive and pleasure drive serving it. And when you are able to clear out some of the noise and really listen from within, you're able to set up that personal alignment hierarchy. So now the drive, or resonating with the frequency of work, meaningful work or exercise or play or socializing or whatever it may be, it's correctly placed in this hierarchy, and it's serving the self. It's not in competition with the self. So much of the world that we live in today wants us to believe that everything is always in competition with another thing, including parts of ourselves, be it our body, our spirit, our mind, or our emotional states. And the unity of these things is truly sacred. You talk about our ancestors. In one of the podcasts I watched with Dr. K, he was talking about this idea of karma, as he says it in his Indian accent, and really talking about this like ripple effect. You know how a butterfly flaps its wings and there's a tornado somewhere else. And if you think about our ancestors and all the actions and thoughts and things that have happened with all humans, like we really are so sacred as a byproduct of all of these things. And like the more I've been able to clear out the external noise, the more aware I am of this, the more self-aware of this, and the more grateful, like just truly like blessed you become. And if you have these things, there's literally no amount of external things that can come close to that sort of understanding. And the thing that I thought about today, actually, which is so beautiful, is that like I'm just like our consciousness is an iceberg, and the conscious part is the tip, and the subconscious is I'm at the tip of the iceberg, right? I'm not even 30 years old. I've got the rest of my life to continue down this, and if I can feel this amount of peace and contentment and understanding and alignments and gratitude now, I'm so excited for what I discover along this journey, and I'm not like putting some light bulb on some hill as a pinnacle, because then you nullifying the whole process, right? But just through the discovery, just seeing what happens and just learning.
Yeah, it has already been so much fun, right? Like you're almost excited to see what comes next, know, like where will this crazy trip end up?
Yeah.
I also love that a lot, man. Well said.
Yeah, for sure. We spoke about the purpose of work and ethical wealth in our podcast. I mean, a lot of our discussions also centered around our career. For me, it's been very eye-opening watching the psychological part of myself grow, and also how that affects my interactions at work with colleagues, decisions about my career. Like I'm now looking at changing teams. I like my role, but changing teams and like figuring out this process in a more aligned way, if that's a way to put it. Early on, we were discussing work, and I wonder if your view on work and ethical wealth has changed through this year and through the podcast.
Well, I'm not sure if it has really changed, but maybe it has transformed a bit, as in it became a bit more articulated. So I think that my view is really that wealth or success in that sense is, I think you get what you deserve. So I think there is no one who really, and I think that's maybe almost like my religious belief. I think that if you have a lot of money that you got over the backs of other people, you are not truly successful or wealthy or even happy. Maybe you'll tell yourself that you're happy, but you have basically sacrificed your true worldview and true reality for a fake reality. And that also means that you have no ground to stand on. That means you're susceptible to all kinds of depressions and terrible way of experiencing the world. Nothing you do is really your own doing, and other people's success is like you don't trust them, you're jealous, whatever. Like, so there's no, you can only get what you deserve, and you need to earn it bit by bit. And it doesn't mean that it has to be like a gruesome grind to the top, like you said. It's just also, I think once you, and that goes back to what you said, like being more like childlike. Once you start to see the world more like a child, you start to see the joy in everything, and then everything is more fun. And you're like, hey, let's just go out and do stuff. Like once you're aligned with yourself, you're like, so my idea of wealth is now creating value for myself, but also for others, for the world. Like, let's see how we can make this a better place. And then the question is just like, oh man, where should I put my time in order to do that in the most efficient way? And that is sustainable over time. And that is, I think, like,
That's beautiful. I'm thinking of this analogy that someone who's successful off the backs of others unethically is summiting a mountain made up of toothpicks and press stick, where eventually it's going to come tumbling down. when that is up to them. But we talked about this hierarchy and about things serving the main purpose. And I really like this idea of creating value. And when I think of value, traditionally we think of money because businesses, add value to their customers or whatever it may be. But I also think how as people, we often tend to just overcomplicate and over analyze these things. And we can add so much value to the everyday lives of our team members by just being kind, by just listening, by just being a good friend when one of our team members is going through something difficult, or just truly caring about also helping them on their journey. And when you do these things in alignment with the right value system, with the right things at the top, naturally the success that's monetary or status or power driven will come. But then you're summiting this hill with everyone, and it's a solid foundation. It's not something that's going to crumble in 10 years when you have a midlife crisis. And
no, because you earned it. So you got yourself to that point. So it's all earned. It's all there for you. Like you get exactly the kind of power that you can be trusted with, to quote that quote again. And there was one more thing I wanted to say. I forgot.
Well,
that's how things
while
go.
you think of it, the next one I think is a beautiful point that we also discussed: the power of truth. What does that mean to you?
I think that is a very nice connection to this, right? Because I think truth is the reality.
Yes.
And as long as you are aligned with reality, you have a strong foundation, a strong backing, and things will work out. Because, and I think you mentioned that before, as you reduce the tension. There's no tension between what you say, what you do, and what the reality actually is. If you would do the opposite, so if you would start lying in order to get something short term, you're actually you're creating this tension. You're talking about this ruler that you kind of bend, and then at some point you have to let it go or it breaks, and then it snaps back into the state that it's actually in, which is you create a distorted state, and then it comes back. So you're just creating an illusion to yourself. So if you don't want to create an illusion for yourself, and if you actually want to know where you are, and if you want to take the most straightforward path to your personal goal and the meaning of life, then stay close to the truth.
I love how you were talking about that tension, and it relates to when we think of truth, when I think of truth, the starting point is being true to yourself. That's part of the self-discovery. It's part of quieting out the noise, because only you know what's noise and what's the true signal in your mind. So that's a really important one to me. And another thing that I'm thinking about here is, for most or many people, the habit of lying is somehow intertwined on this journey of gaining power or gaining control or wealth, which is also linked to power or status or these sorts of things. And it sort of relates to this idea, which has also been transformative and resonated in my head a lot, where true freedom is not being a slave to your desires and your inhibitions and the things that, let's say, society and life wants you to do. But the same goes with truth. Like, a truly powerful person does not lie, does not need to lie in order to get what they want. And that's where you got to be honest with yourself. And it also comes with confidence and bravery. Like, we're talking about it now, and it's easy to talk about, but there's moments in life where you're standing in front of someone and you don't want to be honest with yourself, and you don't want to be honest with the other person, not because you're a bad person, but because we have these defense mechanisms. And that's where the power and the confidence needs to come out. You need to be, in our case, manly enough to speak the truth and deal with those consequences. And do it remembering that you have thousands of generations of ancestors and the sacred human spirit within you. Like, you will be okay. Like, there's religion and there's the spirituality of life as well. And that's deep shit that is all lost when you tell even the smallest of white lies that you don't even think about.
Whatever happens after you tell the truth is the right thing that should have happened, right?
Exactly.
So that's the thing you can keep in mind.
Exactly.
And I think there's just maybe one more side note, because this can tilt towards also people maybe being a bit more self-conscious and timid when they promote themselves, for instance. But I think that's where your knowing yourself really comes in. So if you need to go, just a very practical concept. Let's say you go on a application for job, like job interview, and people would maybe ask themselves, "Am I really good enough for this job?" And then think, if I'm being honest, maybe I don't know if I'm good enough for this job. But there's of course like the balance where the other person tries to get you for the least amount of money that they can get you for. So you also have to, the whole truth, it's still true. Like you need to be honest and truthful, but you also need to understand that you have these defense mechanisms that might undersell yourself to yourself in order to protect yourself not to fail. And you need to see if that's actually the thing that's going on, or if you're really maybe not up for the job, or something in between. Maybe it's like a combination of both. That's where the whole thing blows up and becomes impossible. But that's the thing for you guys to figure out, for everyone.
It's a brilliant topic, and I'm going to bring it up now quickly because today I had a coffee chat with the manager for my dream job. And maybe in 5 episodes or 6 episodes time, I'll be sitting here and I would have got the job. It would be amazing. But it is a step up from my current job. And obviously one of the things you think about is, am I ready for the extra responsibility? And what I really like about this thing that you were talking about with truth is that our mind plays tricks on ourselves. I mean, recognizing that our thoughts are not real, right? I mean, our thoughts are thoughts. And for some people, your mind may try and make you feel inferior and not ready. And for other people,
it might be the opposite
it
way.
may be the opposite with arrogance and either extreme, you're not being true to yourself. So I think the key here is to observe the world with cutting out as much of the external noise and looking at it big picture. Okay, what is this role? What is this thing? Whatever. And then a little bit of doubt is never, but like be true. So I mean, like I will like quite happily, if I get to an interview stage with this manager, say, well, yeah, like in an ideal case, if I were to be perfectly ready for this role, maybe I would have an extra 6 months or a year of experience. But that doesn't mean that I can't do the job. It doesn't mean that I'm less of an ambitious or passionate person, or that I'm not, going to try my hardest and these sorts of things. So you acknowledge. I mean, with part of truth and with people, acknowledging gaps in some sort of social interaction is often also so powerful because it shows awareness, self-awareness, but awareness of the situation. And awareness itself can be a huge positive, right? I mean, if I was a manager, I would rather hire someone who's maybe a slightly less qualified, but very much aware of the fact and very much aware of their own strengths and weaknesses than someone who is significantly overqualified, but not at all aware of their own weaknesses, for example.
Yeah, or maybe, I think the fact that you have this reflective quality shows me, if I were a manager, that you actually have the capability to grow and to do anything you want.
Yes.
So that's something I would hire for, regardless of your other skills. But yeah, I'm not a manager, sadly. But I think that's definitely true. So know thyself, as Socrates put it, is very important, and then put it in the right context. And also giving yourself a chance to put yourself in a situation where you will learn, instead of always like hiding and say, I'm not good enough. No one's good enough when they start. Like you got to start and then do the thing and then become better.
Part of being truth is also being true to yourself and realizing that we are biological systems, and biological systems that adapt to our environment. And the only way to be stronger is to put yourself in an environment which demands you to increase your strength, whether it be physically at the gym or whether it be in, and no good manager is going to hear you say, well, I want to be slightly outside of my comfort zone so I can learn and grow, and going to be like, oh, well, I don't want that person. I mean, like that's what we do as people, and that's how companies foster talent and develop these people. So I think that's a beautiful one.
100%. Yeah.
So I want to close off episode 10 of Unfamiliar Randomness with the question that started this all, at least for me. We are human beings, and so what does it mean to be in this world, Mr. Tim?
Oh man, I did not see that one coming, man. But
full circle
yet again. I think what it means to be is, I think in summary, everything we just described. So I think it's understanding your, in a way, it's just being. Like you can just be as simple as that. It's just being.
Yeah.
Let's cut away the crap.
That's the answer that I wanted to hear, man. That is so true, because we can do a million episodes until we're
rationalize
blue in the
everything,
face. We can watch every podcast and read every book.
You can make it so complex, but it's so simple in the end, right? It's just be.
It's just cutting out. It's not being versus doing or whatever. We are being. Right now, you and I are being, and we're going to continue being tomorrow. And it's accepting this fact and realizing that there's ups and downs and there's things we're going to learn and all these things. But it's just being and not really overcomplicating the journey, just taking it as it comes.
Yep. Amen.
Amen to that. Mr. Tim, I think this is our shortest, one of our shorter, or not shortest, I think.
Shortest, we're 40 minutes in.
Yeah, I think the first one was a 20-minute one, but
Yeah.
everyone thereafter, I think, has been longer than this. But
We just can't seem to stop talking.
we can't. But this has been such a beautiful journey. I really want to thank you for all the insights, all the listening, and the things that we've discovered together.
Thank you.
Truly grateful. I'm so
I'm
excited.
almost getting
for the
emotional,
future.
man.
Yeah, dude, it's beautiful. It really is. I think that we've, at least for me, I've definitely achieved the goal that I set out to with this podcast of just understanding myself, learning myself, developing a closer friendship with such an amazing guy. And yeah,
Thanks, man. Yeah, the same. Let's keep doing it and let's never stop.
let's keep on going. Perfect. Do the clap.
It's a wrap.
Nice one. Episode 10.